Yo, YouTube, what's going on? It's your boy, Abezy. We are back with another video, guys. And today, man, we're talking about how to communicate like a pro. And so, as you guys have ever watched any competitive Call of Duty, you know that they'll do those listen-ins once in a while, and you'll hear the pros going ham on the mics. And that's because there truly is an elite level of communication that it takes to be a professional. And I really do think it might be a pro's most underrated skill, because legitimately, their ability to call out while in the middle of a gunfight and their ability to listen and react to their other teammates' call outs is actually insane. And also, before we even get into this, of course, I was looking online for like call out clips or like Astro listen-ins or whatever it is. And of course, the majority of all the clips were OpTic. So I'm not just nitpicking the OpTic stuff. The majority of these clips online were OpTic Gaming. And so before all of you guys come out and say like, oh, he's just an OpTic fanboy, he's just picking OpTic clips, it's because there were very few other clips besides OpTic out there. Just clearing that up before we get into the video. So we're going to be going through a handful of examples of some crazy communication, just like this one.
Two on point, one out, three, two orange, and one back alley. Yo, is anyone on ball? Or no?
No, I'm pushing through.
Two are gonna be near ball.
Blue band, right, yellow truck, Matt, yellow truck.
I'm gonna kill him, Step. No truck, one shot, John. John's hurt. Yeah, I got John. Up there too, they spawned there. Two orange. Yeah. Good shit, good play. Oh, behind me. Let's go. I got me, Cap. Got the ball, go. I got it. I'm pushing.
I'm still here.
Just throw for it. I'm watching high wall run.
Dead.
You can go.
And so we'll be going through all the different types of communication and figuring out what you need to do to be better and what your team needs to do to be better. So before we get into it, we do need to talk about the difference between an amateur player's comms and a pro player's comms, because there definitely is a difference. So basically, at the end of the day, an AM has to call out more of what's happening on the map and where players need to be than a pro does. Because obviously, if you think about it, naturally, a pro kind of has the game down. They know where they need to be. They know where they need to be looking. But the AMs need to talk a little bit more in that space to make sure all ends are covered and making sure that they're pushing in the right areas together. So those comms need to be a little bit hotter in that area than the pros do, because the pros have that down to a T. So just be aware of that when we're talking about this communication, because there is a difference between what types of communication you need to have, because the AMs really do need to communicate that a lot more than the pros just to improve faster. So with that said, let's talk about some of the different types of comms that you need to have in game to make sure you're communicating on an elite level. First of all, this is pretty obvious, but there's no room for rage on the mic. So when you're watching the pros, they're not raging, and rarely if they are, they're making a mistake. Obviously, at the end of the day, you want to limit the amount of extra communication on the mics that's not beneficial to the in-game play. Even excessive hype or trash talk can be a problem as well. So the more balanced you are, the better for the comms. So of course, there's just like your normal average call outs, like a spot on the map and there's a person there. So there's one top blue pushing two through rails. Those types of call outs are really basic and like the foundation for what a call out and what communication is. And basically everybody already does that. One thing that the pros do that very few casuals or even low tier AMs do is they use the player name tags as the call out. So they'll directly say Karma's top blue or JCap's top grandma. So the first layer of that is that they use the player name tags so they can more easily keep track of who's dead, who's not, count the kills, and really organize the map in even a better sense. So then of course on top of that is not just the name tag callouts, but the amount of health that they have. So basically like when a pro dies, they'd be something like Apathy's absolute top spiral or something like that, or Priestahh's weak in rails. It could basically be anything. But what's important is player name tags comboed with the amount of health that that player has. So another way to communicate is having to call out your health. So basically you're in a gunfight, you're trying to head peek or something, and you get shot and you're like, yo, I'm weak, or I'm absolute, I need help. You know, anything along those lines is basically how that goes. So you're calling out that you're weak, you're absolute, you need help, that you're unable to challenge the guy who's in a very important spot. So that's why it's crucial to call it out. The next thing is calling out all of your tacticals and nades. Something like I'm nading back rails, or I stunned on bomb, or I'm stunning in hill, or I'm smoking front hill, or I'm smoking on bomb, or I'm smoking, you know, in forest or whatever. Like those are the types of callouts that are also really important and communicate strategy and where guys might be weak. Or like if you nade back grandmas and then it doesn't hit anything, then your teammate can push back grandmas because there's probably nobody there. Same goes with stuns, and then the smokes help communicate pushes and blocking lines of sight and things like that, which really help your team control the map. So I know we talked about a lot so far, but before we get into more of the general call outs, I want to show a clip. So think about all that we talked about so far and watch this clip.
Slow left. White steps. One steps dead. Nice. I came that back. He'll watch out. Matt. I got him. Go. I have time.
Alright. I'm watching rails.
I got it in.
Okay.
I got one more mid lane. Dirt. I'm pushing. Jerry going white. Jerry to left. I'm watching your left. Spawn back.
Guys, they could be rails.
I have rails. Under me. I need help. I have one left. Watch your high. I need your rails. I absolutely don't. One shot.
Start rotating.
Too high white. Two white. I went low left. I went through low left.
I got my rails.
I'm behind him. Nice three.
Gold.
I got to the back. Give me this time.
Yeah, I'm going through gold.
They stun me. They're
One's ladder, gold.
So the next area is calling out lines of sight, or what you're watching, or what you're going to help your teammate with. So an example is like your teammate's watching to the right, so you say, I've got your left. Watch grandma's, I've got your left. Or watch generator, I've got your right. You know, something like that. So you're communicating that they don't have to watch their flank because you've got it, or they don't have to watch their right side of whatever cover they're in because you're watching it. Or you communicate like, I've got bottom, can somebody watch top? Or I've got to the right, can somebody watch my left? Those are all questions that need to be asked, or questions that need to be answered by your teammates. And that's a very crucial communication in both hardpoint and especially search and destroy. So the final general one we're going to talk about is calling out pushes and trade. So both in search and destroy and respawn, you've got to call out like, yo, hit bathrooms, I've got your trades, or I'm hitting bathrooms, somebody get my trades. Or somebody help me, I'm hitting bathrooms. Or somebody help me, I'm hitting outer. Or hit outer, I've got your trades. Those types of communications are really, really important and can literally change how gunfights work for you and your team. And I just can't emphasize how crucial those types of communications are. So now before we get into the respawn call out specifically, let's just watch another clip, and it provides some context for what we're talking about. So here's another clip of some really good communication.
I should just ran right away.
They're gonna be at our base. They're gonna be all in.
Yeah, one's going broken. One's gonna be broken. Yeah.
Sending our flag. I'm gonna get broken. Sending our flag. Looking at your fire real quick.
You got broken?
Yeah.
See him? I'm naded, Cap. I'm naded.
Fire
tank. Fire tank. Fella. You fella dead. Nice. That's a big kill. The rest of two bunker. One more outer.
He's gonna be outer.
He's gonna be on.
Someone help me here.
No, he's no man's. Only one. There's only one on our flag. He went fourth. One went fourth.
Nice. You double.
So now we're going to talk about some specific ones just for like respawn game modes. The first one is pretty obvious. It's the spawns. So you're calling out where you're spawning because that provides information for your teammates to narrow down where the other team is spawning. But yeah, calling out the spawns is so important because it provides so much information for you and your team. And the next thing is similar, is calling out rotations. So like in hardpoint specifically is more useful for this one, where the next hill is going. You guys got to call out when you guys want to rotate, or you're having a conversation about when you're going to rotate. So you're hitting that like 30 to 25 second mark on the hill. That's when you're probably thinking about rotating and communicating to your teammates like, okay, I'm hitting rotations. You guys hit old, I'm going to hit new. Or yo, come with me, I'm hitting new. Those comms are incredibly important in hardpoint to keep the map moving. So similarly, while on the rotation in hardpoint, or it's a lot different in like CTF or domination, you're calling out cutoff points or points where you think players could be when they're trying to overextend or push for new or something like that. Those are like cutoff points that you're trying to call out. So maybe you're saying like, I've got cut, I've got alley, I've got cave, I've got, you know, fire lane or whatever it is back on Ardennes Forest or whatever. Like those are the types of call outs that would be pretty common in a rotation situation that you definitely need to communicate with your teammates to make sure that you're securing the perimeter and that players aren't sneaking past you. So then the final thing in respawn that's incredibly important is counting the kills. So you're counting like 2 dead, 3 dead, 4 dead, all 5 dead, or all 5 down. And that allows you to know, okay, so that means if we killed 3, that means currently 3 of them are spawning up right now. So we have an idea of where they're coming from. We can anticipate that we need to find 3 guys that just died and that they're respawning now. So those types of thoughts, those types of communications with your teammates are crucial to help control the spawns, help control the hill, and win hardpoint and domination matches. So before we head to search and destroy, let's watch one final clip so you guys can piece it all together for the respawn.
I'm looking mid. I'm gonna help guys. Help me yellow window.
I am.
I'm watching the alley.
Yo, you can push that outside. Make them spawn.
I'm at mid.
One shot. Slasher, one shot in front of me. Slasher, one shot in front of me. There's two yellow connectors.
I got naded.
2 yellow connector right now.
Slasher, one shot.
Slasher, got Slasher.
Probably more. Go around. Everyone go around. Alright. I'm going mid.
I'm going mid as well.
Red window dead. One.
Nice set. Well, guys, bottom bunker.
In the hill.
Yeah. No, they're gonna breach us.
Stun front.
Absolute.
Good, you're gonna have a big cover. I doubt they're
He's in the
there.
alleyway to your left. He's pushing front.
I'm
coming to help you, Hill.
Help him out.
I got you, man. Stay down.
Matt, I'm here with you. I'm cutting off
They're
connector.
nading. Everyone pull it.
I'm low.
2 guys, 3 connector. 1 guy low. 2 guys top. 1 guy low. They're all weak.
They're all there.
Still alive.
We're fine.
I'm going bottom.
One shot. We can know.
I'm bottom.
Yeah, one's in hill. In hill, one shot tap.
Wait, just wait.
Low. 2 and hill, they're weak.
Who's dead?
One's up.
Yeah, top. All right,
I'm behind them, hold on.
Hit it now,
They got me, 2-0. Everyone trophy.
Let's just hit this. Just fucking hit this, dude. Let's go, baby.
Turn
Turn on! Watch out! Nice! Big one's red! We spawn close!
Who got me? Nice, one more.
Stay down. Two.
He could be under.
Nice. Rotate. Alright, go.
Absolute, dude.
Yo, let's go.
Absolute yellow connector.
Yellow bridge.
They're coming on you.
Stay alive in the hill, guys.
Yellow bridge, one shot.
Yellow window.
That's one jump with you, sir.
Yellow window. Weak.
One challenging.
Slasher.
One challenging for a week. Mating it.
Yellow
Make sure
window
we
dead,
can
I got
test
one.
I'm going around. Just wait for me.
Yellow window.
Yellow plat. Yellow plat dead.
Bridge.
Backside hill. One shot dead. Last guy behind you. They're gonna be yellow. Stay down.
Two there.
One shot, dude. Absolute hook.
Mating over.
Fuke's dead.
got
Help me, guys.
two.
Dead. I got you.
Last guy.
I got him. Help me,
I'm
guys.
laying in hill.
Hide.
After a little bit, we went. They're nading me.
Up top. They're up top.
I got one.
One spiking yellow bridge right now. Dead. Let's go.
Yellow plat. We gotta start. Alright, good shit.
Front.
Let's go, boys.
So in Search and Destroy, obviously a lot of the things that we already talked about are very relevant for Search and Destroy, but there's a few things when it comes to Search that are very unique. And so the first one is, of course, pre-round strategy. So in between every round, you're talking about what you guys want to do as your setups, as your strat for that round, and how you want to approach which bomb you're going to, and how you're going to set up as a team. Obviously, pro teams generally have their setups pretty much ironed out and they know them down to a T, but AMs maybe not as much, and so you really have to communicate that very clearly before the rounds so you have a good idea of where your teammates are going to be and what they're going to be watching. And the next thing is in between rounds or even during rounds is the opposing team's trends or what they've been doing normally. And so usually our team would do this in between rounds where you're talking about, yeah, they've hit bottom mid twice, so watch out for that this round, or they've had a sniper watching outer or in ravine or top grandmas or whatever it is. Be on the lookout for that. Usually when they have one in green, they have one in pipes, so be on the lookout for that. Or when they smoke, they usually hit it really hard, so be wary. Those are all types of different ways that communicate those trends that they might be doing, and that's really important. And over the course of however many rounds you're going, it could be up to 11 rounds, you can really start getting a good feel for how this team is approaching Search and Destroy. So then the final thing I want to talk about for Search is bomb plants. It's pretty basic again, but for newer teams, this can help a lot. So basically you have to communicate which side of the bomb you're planning and who you're planning it for. So when you put the bomb down, you need to communicate, all right, I'm planning for back grandmas, I'm planning for phone booth, I'm planning for pillars, I'm planting for top shoe, or whatever it is. When you're saying that, you mean that the person who's top shoe can watch this bomb and keep an eye on it, or we'll be able to see if somebody's trying to defuse. That's just so crucial communication to know that you have somebody who can watch bomb, and it helps you defend the bomb once you get it down. So that is it for the communication. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I was literally just thinking about this week, and I'm like, man, I have never done a video about communication, so I'm glad I could finally get it done. If you guys enjoyed it, like, comment, favorite, subscribe, and enjoy the Super Bowl tonight if you guys are watching on Sunday. And if you guys are watching after Sunday, you guys already know what went down with the Super Bowl. But as always, guys, I'm your boy, Abezy, and we'll see you next time. I'm out.